Hi everyone and welcome, I'm Izzy at Minerva. Today we have a really fun pattern hack video for you, which is where we're going to look at how to hack one of our very own Minerva exclusive patterns, which is this one right behind me, and it's the Victoria Blouse. In this video I'm going to show you how to alter the pattern pieces to make a lovely little dress with a tie belt just to cinch it in at the waist. I'm going to use the pattern pieces and adapt them in the same way as what we've done with our pattern drafting series, where we literally just take the pattern, unpack it and alter it according to what we need. All the things that you're going to need to follow along with the video today are listed right next to me here. So go and grab those and then let's follow along together to create our own beautiful little bespoke dress. Today I'm wearing the patina blouse by Friday Pattern Company in our Minerva exclusive Tropic Days viscose chalet fabric. We'll link the pattern and the fabric below the video so you can find it if you want to. We're obviously also going to be linking our gorgeous Victoria Blouse pattern, which you will need in order to make this particular alteration and pattern hack. I cannot wait to get into this with you, so let's start straight away. This video is focusing on the pattern hack techniques and how to alter the pattern. If you're interested in looking at what type of fabrics would be suitable for the pattern, we have a video all about that, which you can go and watch. We'll link that below the video for you. And we also have a pattern fit video that looks at which size to choose, how to make it fit your body really beautifully. And we also have a full-on sew along which talks you step by step how to sew the garment. In this video obviously I'm going to show you the steps of how to sew the alterations, but if you want more detail on how to actually sew, you know, the step-by-step instructions in the booklet, you can always refer back to the sew along which we have also filmed. So when I was thinking about how to hack this pattern and what sort of alterations might be fun to explore with the pattern, I really wanted to keep the design aesthetic of the top as it is. I really love like the simplicity of the front, that lovely V that just comes straight down. But I also really love this little shape down here right by the hips. I think that's really cute. So I want to keep all of those features as I pattern hack. So all I'm going to do is literally lengthen the top so that it comes down and the hem extends all the way down to around and about my knee. Obviously for you at home you can lower that as long as you want. You know, you can change the height of the slit, you can do all sorts of fun things, but fundamentally on this pattern it fits around the hips, so it's already gone past the hips. So all we need to do is literally just lengthen the pattern pieces down and decide the height of the slit that we want at the side of the garment too, because obviously we need some movement to be able to move our legs as the garment gets longer, so we need to honour that slit and keep that there too. So that's one thing that we need to do. The first thing is obviously we need to lengthen the front and the back pattern piece, but then we also need to create a belt out of matching fabric. So that'll be a brand new pattern piece. And then also I would quite like to create some little loops for the belt, which are going to go just around the waistline, and I'll show you where those go. So we'll create another little pattern piece for the loops. Let's start by looking at the front bodice and how to alter that. So I've got pattern piece B in front of me here. I've cut out the size G. You cut out your size, whatever you want. So what I want to do is to mark a line that cuts in at the slit and then runs perpendicular to the centre front over here. Okay, so at this point now you just need to decide how far down you want to move the hem. Okay, so I've looked at the length of the garment as it is, and I've decided I want to lengthen it by 30 centimetres. So let's do that. I'm just going to draw a line that is parallel to this one at 30 centimetres. Then I'm just going to grab my bottom piece from my slit down to the hem and just attach it really carefully so that it all lines up beautifully with the centre front, and that line here just sits beautifully on that line. Okay, and then just join up that side seam at that point. I'm going to redraw my notch down here so that I can see it nice and clearly when I come to change the pattern. And I'm also just going to continue sort of this line of annotation where it says centre front, place on fold here to cut in one piece. Wonderful, that's looking good, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to cut that out and then I'm going to move on and do the same process, exactly the same for the back. Start off by drawing a line from the centre back to that slit notch and then cut along that line to separate the two pieces. Draw a line that is 30 centimetres below your cut line and runs perpendicular to the centre back. Then let's take the bottom of our pattern piece, which was here, and we're just going to drop it down by that 30 centimetres, lining it up beautifully with the line that we just drew, and stick it down in place. Line up that side seam beautifully to finish that off, and then just add in any other annotations that you need. Annotate that that's the slit notch because that has not changed, so we still want to keep that. Brilliant. Cut that out and then we'll move on and have a look at our tie and our little loop. Okay, so for our waist tie, what you need to do is take a measurement of your waist and add a metre on to that length in order to get the length of your tie. The reason why I'm going to add a metre is so that we can tie the bow at the front and have a little bit of excess fabric. Another way that you could draft this is just by grabbing a tie that works really nice in a dress you already have in your wardrobe, measuring the length of that and duplicating that length. So for me, I'm going to do some maths now. I'm going to tap in my waist circumference, which is 77, and then add 100 centimetres, so 1 metre, and the length of the tie that I want overall is 177. I'm going to divide that by 2, and then the length that I actually want to draft my pattern piece at is 88.5 centimetres. So draw a line that is that length. For me, 88.5 centimetres long. I want my tie to be 4 centimetres wide, but I want it to be folded over in half. So I'm going to make this tie to be 8 centimetres wide. So then continue to draw the rectangle at 8 centimetres wide. I've just annotated my fold line as well, just to help me remember what I'm doing. Now this is a great starting point. We've drawn a nice little rectangle. However, I'd quite like to have a little point at the end of my tie, just to finish it off really nicely and neatly. So let's draw that in now. I'm going to mark a point along my fold line that is just 3 centimetres above the end of the pattern piece. And then I'm just going to very simply draw a line from there out to the side and again out to the corner down here. And this then becomes my Victoria Blouse belt tie. That's obviously only one half. We'll add our seam allowances in a minute, but let's just draft our little loops for our side seams. Okay, next we're going to draw a little rectangle that is 13 centimetres long by 2 centimetres tall. Great, so we've drafted out the shapes that we want, but we need to add a seam allowance in order to actually be able to sew them together. So let's do that now. I'm going to need to add my 1.5 centimetre seam allowance all the way around my belt tie. And then I also need to annotate it to say it's Victoria Blouse, the belt tie, but I also want to cut 2. And then I'm also just going to add my grain line onto this, which is just going to run parallel to the edge. So that's our pattern piece for the belt tie done. Let's move on to the belt loop. I'm only going to add a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance to the top and the bottom of the belt loop. We just need to cut one of these, and the grain line is just going to run in the same direction as the belt tie. Excellent, let's cut all those pattern pieces out now, and then I'll just show you how to sew it up and then give you the final version at the end. First thing we're going to do is to sew the belt together. So with the right sides together, sew a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance down this side. Then press that seam open. Next, with right sides together, fold the tie belt in half lengthways and just pin together. I've now pinned all of the belt. What I want to do though is just leave a small area here at the middle, at the back of the belt, to be able to turn the belt right side out in a minute. So I'm just going to put a set of double pins there. I'm going to start sewing here, and then I'm going to sew all the way around to the point of the V, and then I'm going to start sewing here and sew all the way and finish up at the end. Next, snip the corners. Then turn the whole thing right side facing out and press it in place. Once you've pressed that in place, you're still going to have like a little gap here where you turned your fabric out. So you can either hand stitch that together, or you can just run a small line of machine stitches across at that point there. Okay, the next pattern piece was our really cute little belt loops. We just cut one of those. We're just going to fold it in half lengthways and then just sew using a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. Trim that seam allowance in half. And then once you've turned it right side out, just fold it in half and cut it in two. Next, you can just follow the instructions from step 1 through to step 18 and overlock and finish your side seams, and then we'll insert our belt loops and we will then continue the rest of the steps. So off you go and do that. If you're not sure how to do steps 1 to 18, feel free to have a look at our sew along, which is linked in the video description. Great, I've just finished step 18 of the instructions and I've just overlocked from the hem up to the waist a notch, which is here. And very simply, all I want to do is just to get my little belt loops that I've created and literally just sort of place them on either side of the little notch there. So do that on one side and then sew it together, just baste in place, and then repeat for the other side for the waist at this point over here too. Okay, wonderful. Once you've added your little loops into your side seam, you can then continue following step 19, which then says just to pin the side seams together, all the way together, and then just sew down to the slit notch. Now obviously our slit notch is much further down than it was in the original top. I've just marked it here. The notches got removed by the overlockers. So line up the slit notch and you'll notice of course that the back overhangs over the front. It's not going to match up at that point down there. So line up that little notch first, and that'll be where you end your line of stitches, and then just pin the rest as per the instructions. And then just continue these steps for making the garment all the way to the end, following the instructions or following the sew along that is available on our YouTube channel. And so here's the final result. Looking really cute, just lengthening it and doing those simple little alterations just really transform this pattern and mean that you can get two fantastic looks out of this one pattern with just a really simple little hack. I love the length of this. I love that we've honoured the design by keeping the slit at the bottom. It looks really cute. So I can't wait to see all the pattern hacks that you guys are going to be making at home. Don't forget that you can create a free account on our Minerva website where you can upload your creations, your makes, your beautiful garments and share with the maker community here at Minerva. I hope that's really inspired you to see the sort of possibilities that you can do with the Victoria blouse. It's been great fun filming that, and I'll see you next time.